Hello everyone, this is another Mapshaper video showing you how to quickly clean up vectorized polygons. Many useful vector datasets start the journey as rasters. You merge contiguous pixels of the same value into polygons, and then you end up with a vector file. Such vectorized datasets typically have many problems. You may have isolated polygons or small polygons that you may want to remove and fill that gap with the value from the surrounding polygon. You may also have invalid geometries, gaps, etc. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use Mapshaper to quickly clean up this data and produce a high quality vector output. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Mapshaper tool to iteratively clean up this dataset. We'll start with the original dataset, apply one cleaning step after another, and we'll end up with a clean version at the end. So let's get started. So let's look at the dataset that we'll be cleaning up today. This is the vectorized version of the ESA world cover land cover dataset. This was a raster that I vectorized and loaded it in QGIS. You can see these are the different polygons. Each color represents a different land cover. So here the red is the built up area, the green is trees, and so on. And this is the polygons for the city of Mumbai. If I just look at the feature count, there are 95,000 polygons, some of them really tiny, and we want to clean them up. If I look at the attribute table, this has only one attribute with the value label, which is the class of that polygon. Okay, so let's clean this up in Mapshaper. So here we are in Mapshaper. Mapshaper is a web-based tool that you can access by going to mapshaper.org. This is a free and open source tool that runs in your browser. To open any data, we can simply drag and drop those files. Let's take this shapefile of our vectorized polygons and drop it here. And we'll click import. And the file gets imported here. You can see here there are some warnings about line intersections, so we need to fix that. And also we need to remove and clean up this really tiny polygons. To run Mapshaper commands, you have to open the console. You want to click here, and it opens up the console. There is an extensive help for each of the commands that you can run on Mapshaper. You can also look at the Mapshaper wiki, which has more details on each of these commands. I want to first start by looking at some information about the layer. If I type info, it just tells me a little bit more about this layer. You can see this is the name of the layer, 95,000 polygons, and this is in the UTM projection. You can also use this inspector tool here, and I can inspect a feature. So if I go around and click on any feature, it says the value of this polygon is 95. There's only one attribute here, and I can kind of interactively check the value of different polygons. So the first step in our data processing is we want to add a new column with the area of each polygon. This is done using this command called each. Let's look at the help for this. You can run this command with an expression which updates and adds a new attribute. To add a new attribute, we'll just say each, and we'll say area. So our name of the new column will be area, and the expression to add this will be this dot area. Done. And you can see now I have a new attribute here. This is the area in square meters for each polygon. Since our data set is in UTM projection, this data set will be in square meters, the value of the area. If I can zoom in, and I can see there are some really small polygons. Each pixel here in the original raster was 10 meter by 10 meter. So a single pixel will be 100 square meters, and a 2 pixel polygon like this will have an area of 200. So I can decide what is my threshold for removing small polygons. And for this one, let's use 1,000. Anything smaller than 1,000 square meters is deleted, and we'll just merge the gap with the surrounding polygons. To remove or select certain polygons, we want to use this command called filter. So we can run this command and say filter all polygons where area is greater than 1,000. So this is going to select all polygons where the area value is greater than 1,000. If you want to do the opposite, there's an invert flag. So we can say filter invert area less than 1,000, and this is going to do the same thing. So let's do this. So you can see it has removed a lot of polygons. We are down to 23,000 polygons. Now there are gaps in these polygons equal to the size of the polygon that we removed. So we want to fill those gaps, and the gap will be filled with the value of the surrounding polygon. To do this, we have to use this command called clean. So let's look at the help for this. You can just run clean, and by default, it'll try to clean up the data with all the different topological issues. There's this option here, gap fill area. What is the maximum gap that you want to fill? And we'll just give the value as 1,000 because that's the size of the cap. And again, due to precision issues, we still might miss some data. So I'll just make it 1,500. Okay, let's run this. And voila, we have our small polygons removed and the gaps filled with the surrounding value. This operation just took a couple of seconds on my computer. Mapshaper is really fast because it loads all the data into RAM. As long as your data fits into the RAM, you can do all of these operations very, very fast. Let's download this data and check the results in QGIS. I'm going to export this as a shape file. In QGIS, I'm going to drag and drop this shape file. It'll be easy to compare the results if I have the polygon style the same way as my other layer. So I'm going to just copy paste the style between the layers. This is one of the cool features of QGIS. You can right click, go to style, and copy any style from the layer. So I'm going to copy the symbology of this layer and paste it on the target layer. So my target layer will be applied with the same style. So this is our process data. This was our original data. And you can see all this tiny polygons have now been removed. So this was quite a cumbersome process if you were to attempt this in a desktop software, but Mapshaper, just with a couple of commands, we were able to remove this. So you could stop there and you have a pretty nicely processed data, but I want to show you some more Mapshaper tricks. So let's further process this data. I want to show you some problems with this data set. I'm going to add a base map. Let's just add a satellite base map. And if you look at this data, you can see the red polygons are the urban polygons and the gray ones are the bare areas. Many of these regions which have been detected as bare from the Sentinel-2 imagery are actually this really dense housing. These are the slums of Mumbai, and you can see these are being detected as bare. And this happens throughout this data set. ESA World Cover is a global model, which is pretty good accuracy globally, but it fails in this kind of very specific instance. So we have this problem where the bare regions are actually built up. And since this is a city area and most of the bare areas are actually urban, we may want to just replace all the values of the bare pixels with the urban values. So we'll take all the polygons which have been classified as bare with the value 60 and we'll make them as urban, which is the class 50. So let's see how to do this in Mapshaper. For doing this, we're going to use the command calc. Calc is like a field calculator. We're going to say wherever the value is 60, make it 50. So we'll say calc and the value of the field is label. We'll say label equals to 50. Assign the value 50 where, so this is a where expression here. And here we need to have a true or false expression. So we'll say where label equal to 60. So this says wherever label equals to 60, make it 50. Done this, and now you can see all my values wherever this bare has been replaced with urban. Let's download and check the result. Let's drag and drop into QGIS and apply the same style. And you can see now all my gray polygons have now become red polygons. And you can see all the data wherever there was gray has now been replaced with red because we updated the field value. That's great, but you can see now all the shared polygons, shared boundary between the polygons are individual polygons. It'll be nice to just merge all of them into a single large polygon. And that is done using the dissolve option. Back in Mapshaper, let's run the dissolve command. Dissolve can be a tricky operation in many GIS software. I've spent many hours dissolving very complex polygons. Mapshaper is really, really good at it. What might take an hour to dissolve in QGIS or ArcGIS might take only a few seconds. So let's see how we can dissolve this multi-thousand polygons in Mapshaper. If you just say dissolve, it's just going to dissolve everything into a single polygon. So all the shared boundaries will be merged together. But we want to dissolve by class. So we say dissolve all polygons having the same value for the class, which is in the label field. So the first option is the fields that we want to dissolve with. So I'm just going to use label. So that's, we'll just say dissolve all polygons having the same value of label. And done, that's it. In just less than a second, we have all the dissolved polygons. Let's download this data. And we'll apply the same style. And now you can see my data set has been fully cleaned up. So we started with this really messy polygonized data set. The first step of our cleaning process was to remove these tiny polygons and fill those gaps by the value of the adjacent polygons. In the next step, we replaced all the bare pixels with the value of the built-up pixels, and then we dissolved them to end up with a merged polygon. And now we have this whole area cleaned up using Mapshaper. Mapshaper is one of my favorite tools for data editing. It can do a lot more, and hope I've inspired you enough to give Mapshaper a try for your next data editing tasks.